Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this morning for our Bluebeam webinar review, Why Make the Switch? I think we're going to get started. Before we jump into the demo, let's introduce the TPM team. My name is Annie Langston. I'm a senior account manager here at TPM. I've been here just over 6 years, and my main role over here is supporting our customers' needs. So new customers who are thinking about adopting Bluebeam, I help with those pre-sale efforts. And then also I'm the main point of contact once you've purchased the software, making sure that you're getting the most out of the program, assisting with those ongoing needs, whether it be training, overall questions, support, you name it. Corey, what about you?
Good morning. My name is Corey Gaddy. I'm one of our technical solutions consultants here at TPM. My mission is to help standardize the engineering community through template standards. I train and support on Bluebeam as well as Autodesk Civil 3D. Have 15 years or so experience in the industry, the engineering space, and in engineering world.
Okay, so a little housekeeping here. Who is TPM? So TPM stands for the print machine. We have been in business just over 50 years, so a long time. And we offer a number of solutions, technology solutions for the AEC and manufacturing space. We are an Autodesk, Bluebeam, and SolidWorks partner. We also have a sister company called Treble-Hook. It is a project pursuit CRM that we have built on the Salesforce platform. However, we have pre-customized it for the design and construction space. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please let me know. I've got my contact info at the end of the webinar. We also have a hardware printing division. We sell various hardware. We are a Leica 3D laser scanner dealer. We also are an HP and Canon hardware dealer, as well as Markforged, which is in the 3D printing space. So any of your hardware needs, we have you covered there. We also host a variety of professional services. So I mentioned we're a Leica 3D laser scanner dealer. However, we can also provide outsourced 3D laser scanning services. We also can assist with modeling and coordination needs, training, consulting, you name it. Finally, questions. We are excited to see what questions you have on the differences between Bluebeam and Adobe. Mackenzie, our colleague, is going to be monitoring those questions in the chat today. Please make sure to type those in there, and we will address those questions at the end of the webinar.
All right, so today we're going to look at the differences between Adobe Pro as well as Bluebeam Revu. We're going to look specifically at Bluebeam's robust markup tools and collaboration features during the webinar. So key differences with Bluebeam Revu is the markup technology. So the markup technology is industry specific. It's also customizable, where you can customize your tools and markups, and you can standardize those tools for reuse going forward. The markup summary itself provides very convenient list and way to track those markups. It allows you to filter and sort those markups, as well as creating a summary so that you can share those markups out with your colleagues or whoever those markups are destined to go to. In the collaboration, it also allows you to collaborate and review markups and documents in real time and make those markups on those documents, and allows all parties involved to have a single source of truth and that one document where all the markups can be found. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to go ahead and get into the demo. All right. So let's talk about differences here between the two versions of the software. And we're going to start off by looking at Adobe.
This is Adobe Pro.
This is Adobe Pro we're going to be looking at today. All right, so I'm inside of this document in Adobe Pro, okay? And let's just generally look at the markup capabilities here. So here in Adobe Pro is where the markups are found. Okay. We're going to look specifically at the ability to sort of add a shape or make a comment on the document. Maybe we have a section of this document that has been revised. So we're going to add a cloud to say the pool section of this doc to show that this pool has been added to this document. Now in Adobe Pro, the way you're going to add this revision cloud is to do a series of left clicks around this pool.
Corey, one of the things I'm noticing just right off the bat in Adobe Pro too is the markup tools just tend to be a little bit more simplified.
Yeah, that's right. You have this little list of items over here that you can choose from for those markups. Okay, and so just quickly looking through here, just the ability to pan and select, navigational wise. You can add a comment, you can insert text. Okay, things like highlight, strike through. So a few items here, shapes, and then you can, add check marks and things like that. So these are all the items that you're going to see available in Adobe Pro. Now with this revision cloud added, right, I can customize this cloud. And so what I'll do is I can make changes like with the border. I could change the color of the border if I wanted to. Okay, and then in the fill section, I can actually change the color of the fill as well. If I want to be able to see the item in the background, I can change the opacity of that fill, right, to give better or less clarity of the item in the background. Now the cloud has been added. Maybe we want to add some text to more specifically define what actually happened with this revision. So what I can do is go in here and add a call out. And so I'll say this is a new pool on the drawing. Okay, so now the call out's been added. All right, and likewise, you could customize the call out, change colors, the fill, and so forth. All right, but you'll want to make sure that these guys are pretty much uniform. Okay, so you probably change those qualities to sort of look the same between the two items. Okay, so now we've got a revision cloud and we've got text associated with it over here in Adobe Pro. So let's look at the same process here inside of Bluebeam Revu. All right, inside of Review, all right, what we're going to have is the same document. There's that pool. Okay. Inside of Review, we have our markups available in our Markups list up here under Tools. Okay, so that's one place you can find them. All right, they're also available real quick here across the toolbar section of the interface. All right, and we'll talk about one other location you can find them, but we're going to go ahead and access in Review what's called the Cloud Plus tool. So I'll click here on the Cloud Plus tool.
One thing I think you all will notice is you obviously have quite a bit more markup tools in Bluebeam. And Corey is going to show you how many more customizable options you have as well.
Right. So I create now what's called the Cloud Plus tool. Now this guy allows me to not only put the revision cloud there, and you have an option. You can, as you might have noticed, I did a little window, right? So I quickly selected this item in a window. I can do that, or I could do a series of left clicks, just like I did in Adobe to draw this Cloud Plus. So again, here's the window I created earlier. All right. In addition to that, it's going to provide you a call out associated with this revision cloud, and I can go ahead now and type in new pool. Okay. All right. Now these are the same markups, so you're going to notice that uniformly they have the same colors and everything associated with them. Now I could do the same that we did in Adobe by going to the properties menu, and I can go ahead and add fill, all right, to these items. So I can add a fill to the text there and give it some opacity. All right, maybe muting out what's in the background a little bit. I can also do the same to the cloud and give it some opacity. Okay. All right. And now everything's in here sort of uniform associated with this markup. Okay. All right. Now, so what happens in the document, say if I want to go in and make another revision cloud? Okay. All right. So let's go back to Adobe real quick and let's look to see how we would do that in Adobe Pro. Okay. So there's that original cloud we made. Maybe I want to call out the fact that one of these columns was updated as well. So we'll go back over here and we'll add another cloud. And I'll go ahead and do a series of left clicks again to create the cloud. And I'll try to get this squared away here. All right, so there's my cloud. All right, now what you're going to notice in Adobe is that by default, the version that I created originally, the properties associated with that cloud are going to apply to this cloud. Okay. All right, so now if I wanted to sort of be unique here and call out the fact that, hey, maybe this revision took place in revision 1, and maybe this cloud here is associated with the next revision, or distinguish between the two, what I'll have to do is I'll have to click on this cloud and I'll have to go back in here and customize it like we did it originally.
Seems like it's a little bit more of a manual process.
It is. To go from one to the other, you just go in here and you change this, the properties associated with it one by one between these two clouds and get that new cloud. And of course, if I wanted to add text to this one, then I have to go back in here again like we did originally, and I'll add in another call out. All right, you're going to notice that call out comes in the way it did originally. So if I say new column, then now I have to customize this guy if I want to create uniformity with that cloud by going in and changing fill in the background, okay, and so forth, to kind of get that uniformity between the two. Okay. So now let's flip over to review and let's look at the process in review. So I have this one cloud created with the information associated with it. We use the Cloud Plus to do that. And maybe I want to call out that same column as being revised. So I'll just click on the button here for the Cloud Plus. Okay. And I'm just going to show you here. I did the window before, but you do have the option to do a series of left clicks just like you did in Adobe. Okay. I'll close that guy up, and then I'll stretch out my leader and I'll show this as a new column. Okay. Now what you're going to notice right away is that the call out now comes in the default format. Okay, so this is what's set as my default for the Cloud Plus tool. So it doesn't automatically default to the way that this call out was originally. All right, so you get a brand new call out from the default. All right, now if I did prefer to have my Cloud Plus come in the way that I did on this one, okay, there's two options that I can select to decide that I want to reuse the same properties associated with this Cloud Plus. I can click on this Cloud Plus and I can either right click and set it as my default, and that way I have the option to have it come in the next time to look exactly like it did this time, or I can add it to my tool chest, okay, for one of my tool sets here, okay. And if I add it to my tool chest, that item is going to show up in the bottom of my tool set here.
So real quick, let's talk about the tool chest, because this is a unique differentiator between Adobe and Bluebeam. What is a tool chest? A tool chest is where you can save commonly used markups, symbols, measurement tools, customize them, and then save them to a tool chest for reuse. So you're not having to start from scratch each time. You're just pulling from your tool chest, and you can actually create your tool chest and then standardize. So you can share it with other team members, departments, disciplines. So everyone essentially is working from the same set of tools.
That's right. Once you get the tool chest populated, you can share it out to another user. And import that, the other user will import that tool chest and have that available. And they can have common colors, per department or team or, reviewing agency, or however you might want to use that tool set.
And real quick, Corey, let's just show them. So we've got, this is your customizable tool chest I think we're in right now, but you can see right below, there's a default contractor review tool chest. There's an engineer review. Bluebeam comes built with these tool chests by default. However, again, you can completely customize your own tool chest.
That's right. And so once that Cloud Plus ends up in my tool chest, all right, what you're going to notice is when it originally goes over there, the symbol here looks pretty much like the original cloud. So if I click on it at this point, then it's going to bring in that same cloud and the same look with the same text and everything. So if you had, standard text or nomenclature that you like to use as a part of your drawing set, you're constantly having to show a certain, amount of text on the plan, you're always having to ask for this spec to be added, things like that, then you can add it to your tool chest in the manner that we added it and have that literal version of the tool come back into the plan set. Now, if instead you want to use just the properties associated with that tool, then you can right click on this Cloud Plus and you can change it into properties mode. And inside of property mode, what that allows you to do is go ahead and use the properties associated with this cloud, okay, and add information in here, but you don't actually have to bring in the cloud the way that it was originally. So I can call out another item here.
And when you have multiple reviewers, reviewing drawings together. Oftentimes, Bluebeam will be used by different departments, as I mentioned, discipline. So everyone might have their own standardized color. So when you do have multiple reviewers, many different people collaborating on a drawing, you're easily able to distinguish who's making what markup.
That's right. Yeah, the contractor may have yellow or green or something like that associated with their markup tools. Maybe the engineer is blue, the architect is red. So you can kind of decide how you want to use those markup tools and the customization of those tools. All right. Now, as we add these markups, all right, in each software, they're going to start tracking the markups, and they're going to do it in two different ways. So in Bluebeam Revu, we end up with the markups list, okay, at the bottom of the interface, and you can see every markup that I made in the markups list. All right. And those markups have different items and qualities sort of associated with them, and they are considered to be columns associated with these markups. So you have all these columns across the top of the markups list. All right. And in Revu, you can customize the columns associated with the markups. You can add in new columns. Like in this case, for these markups, we actually have a custom column called responsibility added in. And so I could double click in here and I could assign this markup to a certain user and have them responsible for addressing this markup. Okay. Now, when we look at the markups list, or what's really considered to be the comments list over here in Adobe Pro, then what you're going to end up with is this list of comments. So everything that I added is considered a comment. Okay. And you'll kind of see, who made it, the name that or the text that I put into that markup and things like that. Now, when it comes down to exporting and providing these markups in sort of a summarized fashion for whoever's going to receive this document, then what you can do in Adobe Pro is just go up here and we'll create what's called a comment summary. All right, a couple of ways you can do it and have it created. One way takes that markup and has like a leader associated with it over to the plan set. We're going to create a markup summary just as a sort of 8.5 by 11 summary of the markups here in Adobe Pro. All right, so that markup summary, as you see here, or what's called a comment summary, is going to have a couple items here associated with that markup. So kind of the subject, what it is, who made it, and maybe the date in which it was made. And that summary shows up here next to the PDF in the software. Okay. So let's go over to Revu and let's look at the same process in Revu. So in Revu, as I alluded to earlier, we have this markups list. Okay.
And real quick, I'll just interject here. What is the markups list? I know Corey already kind of spoke to it, but the markups list is kind of like a live Excel spreadsheet in a way, living in your Bluebeam Revu software. It's tracking all of that data. So every markup you make, every measurement you make, anything that is being placed on that drawing automatically goes to the markups list. And so as he was saying, the markups list is completely customizable based on the different columns that you have. So Corey, you were talking a little bit about some of the different columns we have.
That's right. And I showed you earlier the responsibility column, and I assigned that one markup to M. Starker here. And so what I can do now is I could actually assign another markup to R. DeLone, okay, and have them responsible for that markup. And as she mentioned, the benefit to having the markups list is that it is customizable, and you can actually filter markups as well through the markups list. So
I would think that would come in handy when you have multiple reviewers.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if M. Starker is responsible for this one markup, right? Maybe we have a ton of markups on this document, and maybe all I care for is to see the markups associated with me, and maybe I'm in M. Starcher here. So what I can do is go and filter out the markups by responsibility, okay? And then that way, if I do that, then I can see only the markups associated with M. Starcher in here. So I can see all the markups that I'm responsible for and not really have to worry about markups associated with anyone else. And all these columns are the same way, where you can filter out per subject, per color, whatever it is, you can filter those markups and just have access to those specific markups. So now when it comes to exporting these markups, okay, there's a variety of ways we can do it. Okay, these two are more like an Excel format. Okay, and it'll actually access Excel once you export those markups. And then you can also do a PDF summary for these markups. So in the PDF summary, what I'll do first is I'll decide, because we have so many columns available, I'll decide which columns I actually want to export. Okay, and the ones that are empty here, I'll just turn off. Maybe I don't care to see the ones that don't really have information associated with them. All right, and once I turn columns on and off, I do have the ability to save the configuration of these markups, where if I open up the next doc and I want to do another export, I can go in and load the configuration that I saved previously. All right, so I do have the ability to do that. I also want to look at options for the output. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll click this box here to append and hyperlink to current PDF, and I'll show you what that's going to create for you. In terms of how the markup summary looks, I have the ability to have two different styles here. So I can have a flow style. This is going to look a little bit more like it looked in Adobe Pro, where it looks more like a Word document. Or I could select a table style, and for this case, then it's going to look more like it would in Excel. So it'll have sort of columns and things associated with those markups. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and export these markups in a flow format. And so what's going to happen, because I clicked on append and hyperlink, is that the markup summary is going to be added to the end of this document. So this is all one doc. And as I go in and look at the markups list, all right, if I click on one of these markups, then it takes me to the location of that markup in the actual PDF.
And I think that would be beneficial, especially when you're dealing with a large drawing set.
Yeah, I mean, if I had 30 pages or something like that in a drawing set, I'm making markups on all these pages, the ability to just click on the individual markup I want to take a look at and have it automatically go to that plan sheet is a quick game changer there to get over to that plan sheet. All right, so that's kind of how the markups list works between the versions, between Adobe Pro and Bluebeam Revu. Now, we talked about making these markups and kind of having them in a markup summary at the end of the doc. I mean, ultimately, this needs to go somewhere. So in this manner, you probably just email it out, save it on your network file for someone else to review. Right? But with each software, you actually have the ability to collaborate on this doc as well. So maybe instead of me making these markups on this individual doc and saving it and sending it out, then maybe I actually want to allow other users to actually mark up this document with me. So let's look at the process between the two software programs in terms of how that works for collaboration. Inside of Adobe, what's going to happen is that we're going to make this file available in the cloud. So I'm going to go ahead and add this document to the cloud. All right, so I'm just gonna go in here and let me just change the name here so I can add this. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna add this document to the cloud. Now, once I get this document in the cloud, what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite someone to collaborate with me on this document.
Our colleague, who's, you guys can't see her, but she's here with us.
Our ghost colleague in the room here, Mackenzie, is going to get an invite for this document to mark up. Okay, so I sent her an invite, and she's going to receive an email with this invite. Okay. All right. So now it's saying that, tell me that this file is now shared. So what we can do here is we can actually start marking up this document in the cloud. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that since this document is in the cloud, that those options for marking up become fairly limited here.
Yeah, I see that some of the tools have gone away.
Yeah, so it's been reduced in the amount of tools that are available in Adobe Pro. You do have a few things you can use here in the cloud. All right. So we're going to look at, hey, maybe we want to ask a question and make a comment here on this document. So I'm just going to add in a comment. And so maybe I want to ask a question about this other column. All right. So I can just put text in here and say, you know, what's the column type here? Okay. All right. And so Annie now has Mackenzie's computer, and she's making a comment in here as well. Let me do that again. Okay, so I'll have to post this comment. All right, so now Annie, by way of Mackenzie's computer, is going to make a comment as well. So you see her comment shows up. So what you essentially get here inside of Adobe Pro is like a sticky note comment cloud where you can actually click on the comment and then address that comment, add a reply. So it's almost like a chat.
Yeah. Yeah. So you are collaborating in real time. However, it is a little limited in the communication, the easiness with understanding who made the markup, what exactly, the markup is communicating. It is kind of more like a simplified chat.
Yeah, it's sort of like a chat function where maybe we're just kind of sitting around the table and we're just asking each other questions, essentially.
I could see it challenging, though, if you, again, are collaborating with multiple people.
Yeah, I mean, we get our little separate colors here, and it'll say, what I made and what you made. It's not super clear as to, the differences. And I mean, really, the icon itself is just a little small there. So you have to search out that icon and click on it and figure out, what was being requested there. All right. And so just kind of limited markup capabilities in the cloud on this document here in Adobe Pro. So now let's look at the process in Bluebeam Revu. Okay. So in Revu, what we're going to end up doing is that we're going to create a studio session, okay, in the cloud. All right. And so what I have here is a studio session called Bluebeam versus Adobe. Okay. And I can create this guy from scratch. And when I do, I can invite users, I can apply permissions for those users, so on and so forth when I create it. I can, after the fact, invite individuals by typing their email address or pasting the email address. I can actually create a group of users and add that whole group into this session, or I could use my Outlook address book to invite users as well. What I'm going to do here is have Annie, using Mackenzie's computer again, join my session through the session ID. Okay. And once Annie joins the session, okay, you will see her.
I think I'm in, Corey.
Okay. All right. So let's see. There you are. Let's see. Go ahead and make a comment on the document in the session. Actually, I don't have a document added here. So let me go ahead and add a document into this session.
And so while Corey's doing that, I will just briefly touch on Studio. So Studio is two parts. There's projects and sessions. We are in sessions right now. That's kind of the real design review in the cloud, real time collaborative piece. And then projects, which we aren't going to touch on today, but I just wanted you all to know it's kind of like Dropbox. It's a file repository, allowing project partners to have access to project docs, drawings. There's permission settings, all of that.
That's right. You can upload files into projects and have those files available for users in that project. Over here in sessions, we have the document added into the cloud here now. All right. And so what we can do is both of us can access this document. Okay. Everything that we do inside of this session is going to show up in our record. So you can see here that Annie, by way of Mackenzie, chatted me there. Hey, Corey. All right. And then I just jumped into this estimation doc. Okay. Now you can see that Annie, by way of Mackenzie, has actually joined and added a cloud to this document. It's showing up in the record, and I can click on this cloud and see where that cloud was added. Okay. And I can do the same in this doc. I can go ahead and add in maybe a call out here. And ask about this column. Okay. All right. And so we're both in here real time marking this document up. And what you're going to notice is that if you look at our markups here, the majority of the markups that I have available offline are still available in the cloud. So that same list of documents here are available in the cloud. All right. So there's a variety of ways we can mark this document up in the cloud. Okay. Also, what you're going to see is that, again, it shows up in the record. I can click on everything. If I look down at my markups list, I can see the comments that Mackenzie made, the comments that I made, right, in the markups list. I can change the status here. So if Mackenzie asked me a question, is this POOL 88 compliant? I can go ahead and click on the status here, and I can go to review, and I can say, accepted, rejected, completed, canceled, right, in terms of me addressing her markup.
Yeah. And so you can see, as Corey just alluded to, it's all being tracked. And then again, when you're creating a session, you may have numerous people joining the session, making their markups and comments. There is a really easy way to kind of deal with a single source of truth, right, Corey?
Yeah, it's all on this one doc in the cloud, right? So everything that we've marked up is right here on this doc.
And then you're able to basically take this and export it out.
Yeah, you can export the record out as a report, and it'll show you everything that happened inside of this session. So you can export the record, and you also have the same option to export to a CSV or a PDF summary, just like we had in the local version of the document.
And one thing I did want to mention is if you're like, this is great, I could definitely see myself using Sessions, our company, other partners that I'm, collaborating with on a project. I'm not sure we could all maybe do this in real time. I don't know if you already mentioned this, but you do have the ability to create a session expiration date. And then anyone who's been invited to that session, they can log in, create their markups, their comments. It's tracking all of that. No one can affect another's markup as long as it's between the start date of the session and the expiration date. People can log in and log out as needed. And you do not need to have a paid for license in order to participate and collaborate in a session. Only a paid for license holder has the ability to create the session, but then they can invite both internal and external partners, whether or not you have a license.
That's right. And as she alluded to, you can't affect someone else's comment. So if I click here on Annie's pool ADA compliant comment, then you'll see it's grayed out and I can't make any changes to her comment. I can only affect my comment and make edits to my comment specifically. So that's what exists here for Bluebeam Revu in the cloud, is the ability to collaborate in a session. All right, so that's what we want to show you today for the webinar, is some of those key differentiators between Adobe Pro and Bluebeam Revu.
So I guess let's just kind of recap real quick again. So what we showed you today, again, we hope, is that you were able to see, while Adobe definitely is a tool that is often used for markups, it is more simple in the tools that are available. I think we were able to highlight that Bluebeam Revu really was built for the design and construction space with the industry specific markup tools, the ability to really customize those, save them to a tool chest, and standardize them across teams. You can see how the design review process would really become more efficient and productive. Second is the ability to track those markups. Leveraging the Markups List in Bluebeam makes it so much easier to know who made the markup, when they made the markup, who's responsible for the markup, the status of that, the robust columns that are available in the markups list make it easy to really support those workflows. And then the ability to take those markups and easily share it out to a report that can be emailed is hugely beneficial. Finally, collaboration, the ability to access Studio with, again, internal or external project partners, review the same set of drawings in real time or not in the cloud. So from different locations, the ability to clearly see who's making the markups, again, the status, issue tracking in real time, and then the ability to kind of work with a single source of truth and then export that out to a report is extremely helpful. So now that we've highlighted that, let's move on real quick to post-demo Bluebeam. So we're probably guessing that many of you may not be real familiar with Bluebeam. Maybe you've heard about it. Maybe a few folks at the company have it. However, the company really hasn't standardized on it. Well, good news. You actually do have the ability to pilot the software. If you want to reach out to me directly at Annie Langston at tpm.com, I would be more than happy to set you up with a free 14-day trial. And then, of course, answer any licensing questions that you may have. I'm happy to go over Bluebeam as a whole, the difference in pricing. There are 3 editions of the software and how that all works. So again, you can reach me directly at Annie Langston at tpm.com, and I'm happy to answer all of the questions that you may have there.
Yeah. All right, so let's check the chat and see if we have any questions in the chat. All right, so the question here is, does Bluebeam have an electronic signature feature? Yes, it does. It's up here in the tools menu here,
I don't think they can.
Oh yeah, let me share my screen again real quick.
Yeah, so Bluebeam is often used for digital signing. I use it all the time. Many of my customers do. You do have the ability to sign, seal, and also stamp with Bluebeam.
Yeah. So other options, as you mentioned, is digital stamp. And then also found under the tool menu here is the ability to apply a digital signature. So you'll have to create that signature initially, and then you can use it going forward on this document to sign it. And it will sort of lock the document at that point once you sign it, so that other users can't really make changes after you digitally sign the document.
So Bluebeam did have at one point a review for Mac license. Their desktop version is not available with the Mac. However, there is a program you can run called Parallels, which essentially allows you to use a Windows OS review for Mac license on an Apple product. There is also with the review desktop version what's called Bluebeam Cloud and review for iPad. So review for iPad is a $10 app that can be purchased in the iStore. And then Bluebeam Cloud automatically comes with a Review 21 subscription. It is a app that can be downloaded on your iPhone or iPad. And again, it's at no additional cost. It's included with the subscription, but you do have the ability to make sure you've got the latest set of drawings, review those drawings, mark them up. And then it was also designed to support field workflows. So creating and responding to RFIs, managing punch, uploading submittal logs, things like that. So I hope I answered your question. And again, reach out to me directly, and I'm happy to have a conversation more about that.
So the question is, can you fill in forms with Bluebeam? And the answer is yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, and I'm going to share again. What you'll see is there is an actual full forms section under tools. This allows you to create forms if you wanted to create custom forms. And along with that is the ability to actually fill out a form that's made in the form of a PDF. So yeah, it'll open that form just like you would in any other PDF software and access those fillable boxes and things like that. But you can create a form using the software also.
And I will say that form creation feature is available in all 3 editions, because one of the questions we get quite often is, can everyone use Adobe, right? Because you've got your designers, but then you might have your project managers, but then you have your administrative staff. And, oftentimes the question is, can the administrative folks use Bluebeam as well? The answer is yes, because Bluebeam really at the end of the day is a PDF tool. It was designed to create PDFs, edit, markup. And so those more administrative features and workflows, like form creation and editing, or PDF editing, manipulation, all that, you are going to find in what's called the Basics Edition, which is kind of the first level license. So form creation essentially would be really available to everyone.
So the question is, can you add page numbers to your document? And the answer is yes. That's all done through the thumbnails view. Okay, so if I click on one of these documents or one of these sheets, you can see there the page label is turned on, and I can just simply go here, right click, and I can rename page label. Okay, and that would allow me to actually put a page number in there. In addition to that, and there's the number pages as well where I could number them. But in addition to that, what you could do is you can actually add a bookmark as well. So you can bookmark your pages, and that way you have a list of bookmarks. You click on one, it'll take you to that sheet. All right, and so that's also an option as well, in addition to numbering and naming those pages.
Yeah, we get this question often. So really, Bluebeam is comparable to Adobe's pricing. And, I've been here just over 6 years, and it's funny, people will start out with so many licenses, and then, before you know it, eventually really just standardize on the product for everyone. And because it is comparable in price to Adobe, but coupled with the fact that it was really designed for architects, engineers, and contractors. I mean, once you start using Bluebeam, there's usually no going back. People will tell you, once we start using Bluebeam, I can't imagine going back to Adobe.
Last question is, can people share licenses?
So no, it is based on a 1-to-1 ratio. Every user would have to have their own license. However, with the new Review 21 subscription model, every user can access their one license on up to 3 devices at one time. So that's super nice. Whether you've got your desktop in the office, maybe a laptop at home, something out in the field, you only need one license.
All right. So we appreciate you joining the webinar today. Hopefully we got your questions answered and clearly identified, some of the differences between Adobe Pro and Bluebeam Revu. As Annie mentioned, her information was available. You can reach out to us if you have questions about the product. If you want to get access to a trial, please do so. Please visit our website as well, tpm.com/events, to see what events we have going on. We do training as well associated with software. So if you decide to buy, we can get you empowered on how to use the software as well. And that seat of the software comes with free access to our support line as well. So just reach out as necessary. Thanks for joining the webinar today.
Thank you, everyone.